Hello everyone, welcome back to InspireCast. I'm Prahlad Shankar, and today's episode is something really special to me. It's all about something we don't talk about enough, but should: kindness. Sometimes we think kindness has to be big or dramatic, but I've learned that even the smallest acts of kindness can make a huge difference in someone's life. That's why I'm so excited to share today's conversation. In episode 4 of the InspireCast, I'm joined by Teresa Valley, founder of Be Kind 5 and Girls Giving Back. Teresa's journey started in an amazing way. In 2009, she and her 9-year-old daughter, Taylor, simply wanted to bring kids together to help others. What began as a small idea grew into a powerful movement that has transformed over 200 shelters and nonprofit spaces, creating environments filled with hope, dignity, and care. Inspired by the strength of people facing tough moments in life, Teresa launched Be Kind 5, a program built on the 5 pillars of kindness that help people grow stronger, more resilient, and more connected. Now, as Be Kind 5 becomes a nonprofit of its own, her mission is clear: to bring people together and create lasting change through everyday business. This episode is a reminder of how we show up for others truly matters, that kindness, no matter how simple, can change lives. I hope Teresa's story inspires you as much as it inspires me. Let's get started, guys. Hi, Teresa. Thank you for coming here.
Yes, thanks for having me.
Yeah, so just to start off, just how's your day going?
My day is going great. It's always nice when it's sunny and the Seahawks are in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, go Hawks.
Right? Go Hawks.
You're gonna win. So, I've heard a lot about your nonprofit foundation. And I've heard one, like, before you started B55 called Girls Giving Back. Can you tell us a bit about it?
Yes. So in 2009, I had an opportunity to go into my first shelter that was for families. They had reached out to myself through some friends. It was just us looking for opportunities to give back at the time with our kids. My daughter was 9. So I walked into a shelter here in Kenmore, and that was my first experience walking into a shelter, and I was really shocked at the conditions. So I went home that day from looking at the shelter and talked to my daughter who was 9. I said, do you and your friends want to help out and make this shelter a better place for families? And her idea was to do art for the walls. That's how her involvement started. So really, it was just one of those fluke situations where I walked in, they wanted just blankets and some bedding, and the need was so much bigger. So I basically told the shelter that I would, if they would give me the shelter for a few days, I could make change, do what we needed to do to help that shelter just have improvements. They needed paint, flooring, all the interiors redone. So it was kind of like one of those opportunities where I was like, I knew I had the abilities to get my friends and family together to do it. And I knew my daughter was excited to give back also. So next thing I knew, I didn't plan on starting a nonprofit, but the opportunity was there and I thought, why not? That's how I got it. I started out working in shelters, and we still do work in shelters to this day.
That's amazing. Like, I think what I'm thinking right now is like great minds think alike. For me, when I first walked into a shelter, I was just completely shocked by the conditions. The kids just lying on the ground. And I have to help these people, so I started my food drive. I have a few more questions about Girls Giving.
Sure.
So, first one, do you go to different shelters and
So, starting in 2009, the one thing I learned from going to the first shelter was that the social workers work in multiple shelters and they talk to each other. So I started getting phone calls from other shelters. And that was another reason why I thought, well, if they really want to work with my group, they'll reach out to me. So it really was the shelters reaching out to me. I never really went looking for different shelters. But because they do talk to each other and they were realizing how important the environment was, they just never thought there would be a group that would be interested in doing that. And they didn't have the means to do it themselves. A lot of these shelters just don't have the budget. So that's when really that all the ideas started coming together for me. And I decided to form GGB as a nonprofit. I just feel like to this day, I only go by referral because I want the shelters to want our help, and I have expectations on them sustaining it. So it is kind of become like I get calls quite a bit about shelters wanting to improve themselves. And I love that because I get to go in and have those conversations about what is respectful for people when they ask for help, and the environment being loving and clean and all the things that help people take steps to recovering, right?
Yeah. So not only do you fix the physical needs, you also fix like the social needs.
Yeah. So I do, when shelters call me, it is a lot about environment, but it also is about what they're doing for programming. Cause for me, if I'm going to invest in them and bring in my team and my organization to invest in these shelters, I have expectations on, do they have programming such as like an art program? Hence why I work quite a bit with Arts Expressions or Expressions Arts, because the youth are involved in that, which I love. And I can introduce the shelters to a great art program that can be consistent and also improve the shelter in the ways that I think art does for the walls, So I work in a lot of ways with the shelters, not just with the environment, but also in programming. For example, arts, I like to also make sure they have fitness programming, music programming. There's lots of great programming. There financial literacy programming. So it's kind of evolved, and that's where Be Kind 5 ended up. Why Be Kind 5 came to be, because I wanted to influence the shelters with programming in the 5 pillars, along with the youth that we work with through Be Kind 5. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's amazing. I already love Girls Giving Back. So after Girls Giving Back, a bit later you started Be Kind 5. Am I correct?
Right.
So what is Be Kind 5?
So Be Kind 5 came from the concept of when I was in the shelters. Like I say, I really felt like I wanted to really think about the prevention of people ending up in crisis and ending up in a shelter. I wanted to see if maybe we could impact youth, and if we had programming in 5 pillars. The 5 areas are mental health is the first pillar. The second pillar is giving back. The third one is our planet. The fourth is our physical bodies. And the fifth is our financial health. And so I came up with the concept of Be Kind 5 in 2019 for the purpose that I could then put it out there into the world. Like, there's great ways to learn in these different areas and make it fun and bring in different partners and other resources that people could learn. Like, for example, for mental health, we partner with NAMI, which is National Association of Mental Health. We partner with Youth Eastside Services. I try to find local resources in the areas that we work in so that people know where to get that support, besides a lot of the content that we put out ourselves as an organization. So it's just a pathway, in my opinion, for prevention of crisis. So we ended up changing our name to Be Kind 5 just this last year, and taking Girls Giving Back and kind of putting it into the giving back arm of Be Kind 5, just so we didn't have so many names out there, even though people still want to call us Girls Giving Back, and that's fine. But Be Kind 5 is our official name now. But so we kind of just combined everything, and it's been an amazing journey, like to still work in shelters and be able to say, hey, to see how Be Kind 5 can be a piece of that puzzle of just, lots of good things happen when you put it out there into the world that you want to make a difference, right? I'm sure you've seen that for yourself.
So just to summarize real quick, so Be Kind 5 is you teach youth and others 5 important things to help prevent them from going to shelter.
Right. And I mean, it's not just about shelters. It's about, the reason why I work with youth a lot is because I do think that if we plant the seeds and we teach young people that want to learn tools in those different areas, I think we can prevent like crisis, and not that people are going to end up in a shelter, but even if, let's say, when we teach in our mental health pillar, when we're teaching emotional intelligence, which when I say that, I mean things like how to communicate, how to talk to your parents about things that are maybe bothering you. Like that's important, rather than keeping it inside and stuffing it down and, and having other things happen. And unfortunately, humans tend to take those steps they don't want to bother other people or look weak in some ways. So I'm trying to change that dynamic through Be Kind 5, that people know that asking for help is cool, that we all struggle at times. And then there's a lot of great things that we can do out in the world, like our giving back arm. I'm always looking for new and great ways that the community, they may not know about, that they can learn about different nonprofits doing great things out there, or individuals doing great things, and sparking people that we all have it in us to make a difference. And I think you can relate to that. It's just like, if everybody did a little something, what a world we'd have, right?
If everyone donated $1 to our cause, we'd have $8 billion.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I feel really lucky that I get to do this type of work. I used to be, in corporate America, where I was working a 9-to-5 job, and nothing against that. But for me, it just didn't work for me. I needed, to be able to get out in the community like I do, that I get to do, and I get to connect with people. It's special. I feel lucky.
So I have one or two more questions for you. So, what made you start Be Kind 5? This is like an amazing foundation.
Well, like I say, because I was working in the shelters. By that time, I'd been working in shelters for 10 years. And I'd say the biggest thing, and the other thing about me is I do come from domestic abuse as a child. So being able to support people asking for help was really special to me. My family didn't get the help we needed when I was young. And so to be able to be part of the change of that, the shift of that, and help people feel comfortable asking for help and knowing there's good help out there. So as I was in the shelters, it was always really apparent to me that myself and my organization could do more. And so I felt like Be Kind 5 came to me kind of a little bit in a dream, and a little bit then from that dream, I was just like, okay, there's something to this number 5. I feel like it's a high five, it's a handshake, it's in these 5 areas I thought were really important to give exposure to and to have people be open to learning about. So it just, to me, was a great next step for what we were doing as an organization. I really felt like the word kindness is it's just a great word. It's actually on my license plate of my car, Be Kind 5. And it's funny because Scott and I were just at, was it Costco? Costco in Woodinville. And it happens probably every few weeks. Somebody will come up to me and say, "Oh, I like your license plate." They don't necessarily know what it means. I do have the nonprofit website around it, but this gal came up to us. It kind of freaked Scott out because he's like, "Why is this lady coming up to my door?" But she says, "I was just on the phone complaining to my friend about something." And she goes, and then all of a sudden I look up and there's your plate and it says Be Kind. And she goes, "And I just want you to know that I needed that reminder today." And I was like, just those words, right? So I love that people do like the words that Be Kind represents. But, I do get people that are also curious, what is the Be Kind 5? And, it gets people talking, gets people curious. And I think curiosity, and I'm a big knowledge seeker. And I'm a big Ted Lasso fan. And I always say, be curious. Oh, so good. Be curious, not judgmental is one of my favorite sayings that he says. Supposedly he's going to have a season 4. So hopefully you'll get to see it's such that show is so powerful because it is about how we treat each other, kindness. Ted Lasso, as a coach, I've coached soccer on and off for years. And I just think I haven't coached since I've seen Ted Lasso, but I just hope that teachers, coaches can take a lot of how he approaches in such a positive way. And this was a football coach coaching a soccer team in England. So it's like, there wasn't he didn't get a lot of respect, but he was able to get the respect of his players. And that's all that matters. Kind of like, I'm sure you have some great teachers at your school and
I love it.
Great coaches. You have to, it's such an opportunity to just even our interaction to communicate and find respect for each other, but also appreciate that you in 8th grade can sit here and have a conversation and talk about important things in the world, right?
Thank you so much for being here. It's been an amazing conversation.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and I appreciate it, and I can't wait to support what you're doing too. So
yeah, you too. I hope I can one day support.
Yes, absolutely.